Okay, the final tool that we have to deal with in chapter 12 is the blob brush, and it is not a brush like we've just been looking at that's in the brushes panel. It's separate from that. First, we're going to jump to artboard 4, which is an empty artboard. And before we do anything with our blob brush, we're going to set up a few things. So we're going to go to our swatches panel. And in the swatch panel, we're going to find the one called flower. There it is. And we're going to get ready to make something. So in the fill, in the swatch panel, we need to select our fill, which is the one on top. We can do it here or over here. That's the one that should be the flower color. Sorry about that. And the stroke, so click to select that and bring the stroke on top, that should be none. So we have the flower fill, no stroke. All right, the blob brush is a new one that we're going to learn about. It is nested in our brush tool. So come over to paintbrush here, and in the flyout menu, you're going to see blob, pencil, and join. We've already used those two. The blob is the last one that we have not yet used. You do get a nice preview of how big this brush is going to be, and you can use the left and right bracket keys to change the size, or we can edit it before we use it. So we're going to double click on the brush over here in the toolbar to get our tool brush options. We're going to choose keep selected, and we're going to change the size of our brush to be quite big, 70 points. And then we're going to say, okay, so now we have a much bigger thing here. So when we draw with the blob brush, if both a fill and a stroke are set before drawing, which we've done pink and no stroke. If both of them are set before drawing, the stroke color ultimately becomes the color of the shape. If only a fill is set, however, which is the case, we have none here on stroke. If only a fill is set, it will become the fill of the shape created. So this is a little bit different. The blob brush paints filled shapes that keep intersecting and merging with other shapes of the same color. So unlike the paintbrush, which lets you create open paths, like picture a check mark, like at the top of page 345, with the normal paintbrush, we could make a check mark and then we could put a thick brush stroke on it that would make it look thick, but it's really just that singular path on the inside. The blob brush lets us create a closed shape with only a fill. So there's the example of the green check mark in your book that'll show the difference of those two. All right, now that we have this done, we are going to make a flower. And basically, this is really bad, but I don't know how to make flowers very well, clearly. But notice as I'm doing this, the outside keeps growing and making a shape. Now, if I get to a point where it's okay on some sides but horrible on others, the tool that I can use in conjunction with it is the eraser. So first thing we want to do is click to select this shape first, and then we're going to go to our eraser tool. Because we selected it first, erasing will only be done on the selected shape, nothing else on our artboard, which we don't have anything right now, but if we did, it would protect it. We're going to double click on the eraser, and we're going to make this a 40-point eraser, quite big. And then we're just going to use this to, fix our flower, if that's what I'm doing. But at least you get the idea of how this works. So rotating between the blob brush and the eraser, you can make a pretty flower, which this is not. Not at all. There we go. It's getting slightly better. So make yourself a cute little flower. Switch back to your eraser tool at 40 points, and then we're going to erase out a center of our flower. So this is very organic, very freeform. It's not as mechanical or rigid as it would be if we used other shape tools. Looks more hand-drawn. All right, we're going to click away. We're going to select it with the selection tool and we're going to make a copy of it. So Command C or Edit Copy. We're going to jump back to, whoops, to not layer 1, we're going to jump back to Artboard 1. And in Artboard 1, we're going to click on this bush over here that has all the little flowers on it, and we're going to zoom in. Move this around a little bit. And then we're going to bring this whole stack up to the front. So we're going to choose Arrange and then Bring to the Front. So we just saw another piece pop forward from that tree behind it. And now we're going to do a paste. So Command B, and there's our first big flower. It's obviously huge. We need to scale it down. So I'm Shift and moving it around, and then we're just going to place a few of these randomly on our tree. Option Drag, get a few more going, and place them around. Whoops, grab the whole thing that time. Option Drag out a few more of these flowers and place them around on your tree. So that is the Blob brush in use. Pretty simple, but it's nice to see how it kind of continues growing, and instead of just being a path with a stroke on it, it makes whatever blob you've created a shape, and it puts your vector points around the outside of it. So file save as, and this gets us to the end of this chapter, page 356. So I encourage you to go back and have some fun with this and try different patterns, different brushes, bristle brushes, art brushes, whatever. This is really some of the fun part of Illustrator coming out now, so enjoy it. And when you're done, you can just close this down, and we are finished with this chapter.